What is going on, everyone? Day one of free agency has came and went for the Houston Texans. Let me know your thoughts down below. Drop a grade for General Manager Nick Caserio's performance in day one of free agency. We're going to run through the list and see who the Houston Texans have added. Guys, yesterday wasn't the day we were expecting. We thought that with the money the Houston Texans had, because it was around $70 million, the first time they had this much in a very long time, we thought they were going to be aggressive. But I had brought this up that I could also see the Houston Texans spreading the money around and not really putting all their eggs in one basket. Now, they got outbidded for Christian Wilkins. They got outbidded for Saquon Barkley. The Houston Texans definitely tried to get these guys. Unfortunately, they weren't the highest bidder. Now, I will say this. Everyone's saying that Christian Wilkins was too much. Saquon Barkley was too much. If you would have saw the Houston Texans make that deal, you would have not been upset at all. You would have said, oh, the Houston Texans are for real. And they did something that they never do, was spend money on free agency. With that being said, guys, they still added some quality pieces yesterday. We are going to give you the quick rundown. Welcome, everyone, to the 713 Houston Sportcast. I am your host, Ruben Calvillo. I drop daily Houston Texans content, so make sure you guys are following me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. And this episode was brought to you by my friends at Underdog Fantasy. Use my promo code, download the app, 713HOU, and get a first-time welcome bonus up to $100 on your first deposit. And guys, thank you all so much for watching today's episode. Now, I actually like all these signings. You got quality depth, and you got 3 new starters. Jeff Okuda is your starter. He's your cornerback number 2 for right now. Denico Autry, your starting defensive tackle. Azeez Al-Shaair, your starting linebacker next to Christian Harris. And this signing with Al-Shaair is a move that you made for the future. He could be a long-term piece for this Houston Texans defense. So I don't mind these signings at all, but I would have loved them even more if it was attached to a Saquon Barkley, attached to a Christian Wilkins. With that being said, man, the first signing that we had saw was a reunion. Cornerback / safety Lonnie Johnson, the former second-round pick by the Houston Texans, has returned after spending a previous number of years away from the H. Was recently with the New Orleans Saints. He himself tweeted earlier in the morning, they're not gonna like this, and fans felt some type of way about Lonnie Johnson coming back, but I think all that hate really came from the Lonnie Johnson move being the first deal done all day, and was the only deal done all day until Jeff Okuda came a couple of hours later. But with that being said, I don't mind Lonnie Johnson at all. Quality, depth, and I would expect him to be fighting for the number 2 cornerback spot versus Jeff Okuda. Nothing should be earned on this Houston Texans defense. Welcome back, Lonnie Johnson. Excited to see what you can do. Then later on, like I said, hours later, we saw that the Houston Texans were bringing in Jeff Okuda, cornerback, the former number 3 overall pick by the Detroit Lions, spent last season with the Atlanta Falcons. Look, let's call it what it is. He is a bust. Right now, Jeff Okuda is fighting for his NFL career. If it doesn't work out in H-Town, I don't think it will work out anywhere else. With that being said, he is your number 2 cornerback right now. And this move does not hinder you from getting another cornerback during the rest of free agency. Should not hinder you from drafting a cornerback as well. And Okuda should be fighting as soon as he steps into building. Nothing should be giving to Jeff Okuda. With that being said, right, the real question is, can he figure it out? Can he become the player that was the number 3 overall pick now that Denico Ryans is his head coach? We know that players have growth here. We saw with Will Anderson Jr., we saw with Blake Cashman, we saw with Christian Harris. So I have no doubt that Jeff Okuda could kind of have a little resurgence here in Houston. The only question is, will it happen? The only man who can answer that, Jeff Okuda. And then it was like, 20, 30 minutes later that the Houston Texans made another signing. And that was defensive lineman, defensive end slash defensive tackle, Denico Autry, to a 2-year, $20 million deal. Now, what's going to scare some Houston Texans fans is his age. I mean, he is 33 years old. This is as veteran as it gets. And the Houston Texans will now be his third AFC South team. Spent the last 3 years with the Tennessee Titans, the 3 years before that with the Indianapolis Colts. Now he is here in the H-Town. Welcome back to the AFC South. And what stands out about Denico Autry is this dude can get to the quarterback. I mean, he had 11.5 sacks this year, 8 sacks last year, 9 sacks the year before. Now this is his time in Indy. 7.5 sacks, a 3.5 sack season, a down year, but then 9 sacks in 2018. This deal will be worth it if Denico Autry gets you 5 to 8 sacks this season over the next 2 years. But I love this signing because it's not expensive at all, and this isn't a long-term move. This is a band-aid. I think Denico Autry is better what you had pass rushing rise at the interior defensive lineman spot. And I wonder what could happen when D'Amico Ryans gets his hands on him. Wonder how much usage we see from the 33-year-old. With that being said, I actually do like this signing from the Houston Texans. Another move that we had made was defensive back Mike Ford. We signed him on a 2-year deal worth $4.5 million. Now we are I believe, his 4th or 5th team. This is a pure special teams and depth spot here. Excited to see what Mike Ford could do on this Houston Texans team. We also heard that Noah Brown will be returning to the Houston Texans on a 1-year deal. So that was the first move the Houston Texans have made on offense. The biggest move of the day was the Houston Texans signing linebacker Azeez Al-Shaair. Now, we were talking about this the previous 2 weeks, ever since that he himself had showed interest in the Houston Texans, and we learned from Aaron Wilson that the interest was mutual. Spent his previous, I believe, 4 seasons with the San Francisco 49ers behind Fred Warner and behind the other linebacker, Kinlaw. So he got a 1-year deal with the Tennessee Titans for $5 million and bought out for them, right? This is what PFF said. Al-Shaair was the 49ers' third linebacker while working behind star Fred Warner and hard-hitting Dre Greenlaw from 2019 to 22. Before signing a 1-year deal, $5 million with the Tennessee Titans, Al-Shaair is completely fearless coming forward and attacking gaps in the run game, bursting through blocks, or fighting with a second effort to make a play. There are limitations in coverage, but if any team needs an early down thumper in the run game, Al-Shaair is the guy. And this is also someone who fits what the Houston Texans need currently at linebacker, 26 years old. So you're getting him right in the middle of his prime, and he is fresh. Last season was really his first full body of work because he was behind so much talent and San Francisco. He comes back to a familiar style of defense led by D'Amico Ryans, his former DC, and this should fit like a glove. And I absolutely love this signing. Excited to see what Azeez can do in this 3 years here in the H. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that was day 1 of free agency. No, there wasn't big names, but like we saw last year, veterans brought in for every single position group. We also saw a 3-year contract given up by Nick Caserio. Shout out to him. Let me know how you guys felt about day 1 of free agency for the Houston Texans. Go H-Town. You all have a very blessed day.